Hey YouTubers, it's Tony, and today I'm going to show you how to replace your alternator on your 1993 Toyota Camry 2.2 liter motor. This process should be the same for about 5 years before your year, make, and model, and about 5 years or so after your year, make, and model. I'm at the junkyard today, guys, because I had a request from someone who wants to replace their alternator and drive belt, and they don't know how to do it. So I came and found the same exact vehicle, and after today you will be able to replace your alternator and drive belt. One of the first things you want to do before starting this job, guys, is you want to disconnect the negative side battery terminal from your battery. It's always a good idea whenever working on anything electrical to disconnect the negative side battery terminal to keep from shorting out anything. After you disconnect the negative side battery terminal, you'll need a couple of tools to do the job: a 3/8 ratchet, a 10mm socket, a 12mm socket, and a 14mm socket. What you want to do is take loose this battery lead nut. It is a 10mm nut, so you want to take that loose and move it. The next thing you want to do is disconnect the battery's electrical connector. You just simply push in this little tab here, guys, and pull the connector away from the battery. There are 3 bolts that actually hold the battery in place, guys. There is a 12mm lock nut here and a 12mm tensioner nut here. You want to break this lock nut loose by turning it towards you while working on the vehicle. You don't want to remove it, but you want to break it until it's really loose. Then you want to break loose this tensioner nut. Just start to break it loose, but don't remove it. This tensioner nut is what takes the tension off of the belt. So before you start the job, you're going to notice that your belt is really tight. But before you remove this nut, there's a 14mm bolt that holds the alternator in place. You want to break that nut loose. And to get to that bolt, guys, it is a long bolt. You can remove this overflow here, guys. Just take it, pop it out, and move it to the side, and you'll be able to access that nut. So back to the tensioner nut, guys. You're going to turn that tensioner nut until all of the stress is off of the belt. So notice it's loose. Once you do that, guys, you can break this bolt loose and take it out. So let's do that. Just remember to take your time, guys, when you're taking this stuff apart. Once you take this bolt loose, guys, you can go back and fully remove the lock nut. Make sure you don't drop this. And now what you can do, guys, is you can take a rubber hammer or anything and sort of wedge up in between here. So let's do that. Just take something and wedge between the housing and the alternator, and then just pull the alternator out of place, guys. Notice the alternator is now free. And what you want to do, guys, is you want to compare your old alternator to your new alternator. They should be identical. And then you can start the process of now putting everything back together. Guys, before you start this job, if this is your first time, just snap a picture of where everything goes before you start taking things apart. In the end, you must make sure that the belt is around all of these pulleys right here. They must be around all of these pulleys, including the alternator pulley. And I'll show you that in the end. So let's start putting everything back together. Remember, this goes back together in the reverse order that you use to take it apart. Okay, guys, for this bolt, I would put this bolt in first, and you're going to have to try and line the holes in the alternator up with the hole for this 14mm bolt. Once you get that in, guys, you can get it started, but don't tighten it. Just get it started, make sure it grabs. Then what you want to do, guys, is you want to put the belt on. You want to slip the belt on those 2 bottom pulleys. And make sure the belt, again, double check this, guys, triple check this. It's important. You want to make sure that the belt is sitting on the pulley. Not like on the alternator like now. You want to make sure it's sitting on the pulley. Just like that. And it should be the same all the way around. Once you do that, guys, then you can, this lever here pushes inward so that you can line up the hole on this tensioner or lock nut pulley. You can line this hole up so you can push it forward where you need it. So you want to then pull the alternator up just a little bit, guys, and then you can take your bolt and put your bolt in there and start the bolt until it actually catches. So let's do that. So notice, guys, I started this lock nut, but I didn't tighten it. The next thing you want to do now is the belt tensioner adjuster. You want to start turning it, guys, until the belt gets nice and tight. But you don't want the belt to be over tight, but the belt must be tight. So let's do that. And notice this is loose. When I actually bolt this down, the belt will be tight. Okay, guys, notice that the belt is nice and tight now. Again, you don't want to over tighten the belt, but the belt must be nice and tight. If for some reason the belt starts screaming at you when you start the car up, that means the belt is not tight enough. So what I did was I put the tensioner on to make the belt nice and tight. Then I put my lock nut in to keep this nut from slipping. This lock nut must be nice and tight. For this particular 14mm bolt back here, guys, again, remember, you can pop the overflow housing out of the way, and this will allow you access to that particular bolt. If for some reason, guys, your bolts are really tight, you can get a bottle of PB Blaster from any hardware store, Home Depot, any auto parts store, and spray your bolts and let PB Blast sit for about 15 minutes. PB Blaster will actually help loosen up a rusty bolt for you. And if for some reason, guys, you need extra leverage, you can always stick a bigger socket over the arm of your ratchet, put a driver in it, and you can use that for leverage to tighten up these nuts. So now, all that's left to do, guys, is to make sure that you hook up your battery lead with this 10mm bolt. Make sure it's tight. You want to reconnect your battery electrical connector. Push it in, make sure it's in there locked in. You want to reconnect your negative side battery terminal, guys, and then just do a dummy check, guys. Make sure all your bolts are on. Make sure your belt is sitting on all the pulleys. Take a flashlight, look down there, make sure it's sitting on all the pulleys correctly, guys, and then you should be able to start your car. And once you start your car, you want to turn on all the lights, blinkers, turn on everything electrical for about 5 minutes and let the car run. And then you should be good to go, guys. I hope this video helps, and thanks for watching.